A big hello to you. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Jennifer Kirk. It's so great to see you and I hope I find you well. Today we've escaped the loft and we've actually come to Highley on the Severn Valley Railway, and it's a place called the Engine Shed. It's a museum that's part of the Severn Valley Railway, and you can see a number of the locomotives and coach fleet in here. Undercover, it's a great day out, and these are locomotives which are out of ticket, so they're here on display, and it's a great opportunity to get really up close and personal. But we've been given free rein to the engine shed today. That means we can access all areas and have a really good wander around, so come with me and let's have a look at what they've got here. Today's video comes in association with Trainomatic, makers of DCC decoders and accessories that are designed by enthusiasts for enthusiasts. Find the full range available to order now at tramfabrique.co.uk. Additional support comes from Rocar Prototype Models, where detail, accuracy and value for money go hand in hand. With their debut model of SafePack auto racks wowing model railroaders alike, now is your chance to order these in road names and configurations to accurately reproduce auto rack workings from 1974 to the present day on your model railroad. Order today from rocarmodels.com and see the full range for yourself. So here at the Severn Valley Railway Highley engine shed, and they've actually let me have a clamber about. I'm in the cab of one of the locomotives, a little bit naughty, but being somebody that gets recognised, it does tend to help you get access into some of these really quite cool areas. And there's an awful lot going on, and from up here as well, we get a really good view of the standard class 4 tank 80079. And just through the window here, 47383, the Ginty. There is so much in this place. I've never been here before, and it's just really quite fun, even though she's cold and not in steam, and I don't think she has been for quite a few years. This is just amazing to be on the footplate of number 600 Gordon. Choo choo! Look at this. We're in the best seats in the house. And there's quite a lot to see here. It's a venue I've never been to before, even though we did do the Bewdley station on the Severn Valley Railway last year. This is a new experience for me. It's a covered museum, and there's a lot of locomotives and items of rolling stock which are in the Severn Valley Railway collection, which are preserved here undercover, and you can come and you can look around, and it's just a great day out. And one of the things that's really caught my eye is this is the BR crest on the tender of an 8F, Pannier 8F, and these are actually put on as a transfer, and they would have been back in the day. But it's amazing to see just how big they are and the amount of detail that goes into one of these, and it's just really nice to get up close and personal. And the paint finish as well, this is a high gloss finish. But there's a lot of other interesting things to see. So over here, we've got a Royal Mail coach. This is one of the TPOs. There's a model of these that's been done by Bachmann, and you can actually go and have a look inside. And I've never actually seen inside one of these before. So we're going to go and step inside and take a look at how the post used to be sorted on the move. We've even got a post box on the side, which back in the day, if you were on the station and this train was sat there, you could stick your letter in the letterbox and it would be on its way. And you can see in here, we've got all the little cubby holes where all the mail would be sorted, and there'd actually be people in here sat on stools frantically sorting the mail as the train was on the move, and it really sped up the process such that literally you could post a letter in London and it would be delivered in Edinburgh pretty much within a 12-hour window, and that was pretty much unprecedented 100 years ago, but the train made it possible. And you can see in here, it's actually quite a roomy coach. We've got all the pigeonholes down one side and a lot of space for mail bags down the other. We've got a lot of security as well, because one of the things that the TPOs would carry would be things like cheques, postal orders back in the day. I know they're not really a thing anymore, but certainly through the ages they were very, very important ways of moving money around. And of course the post itself was considered very, very valuable, and it was the Royal Mail's reputation that when you posted a letter it would arrive at its destination safely, and these coaches were part of that process. This carriage has really caught my eye. This is the LMS Royal Saloon. This was actually built for King George VI and very much a wartime coach, so originally outshopped with armour plating over windows and over doors, so it would have looked a little bit different when it first set to the rails. And it's a little bit more austere than you might expect inside. And the reason for this was it was seen that in those austere times of the Second World War, probably wasn't the best thing for a monarch to be seen in the lap of luxury. Although when you go in there, it is actually still got quite a few creature comforts. It's fully air conditioned. It rides on 6-wheel bogies. It's got a very smooth suspension, and it actually was quite long-lived as well. Built during the wartime, and it outlasted George VI and went on to become the Duke of Edinburgh's transport in the royal train right through to 1977, when it was replaced with a newer vehicle. So this coach actually ran with everything steam on British Rail and even into the BR Blue Tops period, so very, very long lasting. I think they've left it open. Let's go and have a look. There you are, look at this. They haven't locked it. So this is the King George VI Royal Saloon, and immediately when you come in, it's got all of this information here for the air conditioning, the heating, and we've got these telephones, these really, really nice antique Bakelite style telephones. You can see here as well, it's got an internal phone system with a number of different numbers for different vehicles in the train, so you could communicate with the different people. And even though this is quite austere, it's still quite a nice little coach. And we've got this very narrow corridor here. And just looking in here, I suspect that this was the bedroom for the attendant. So with the Duke of Edinburgh and before him King George VI, probably had his valet or his butler would have travelled with him, and this would have been his compartment. And actually it's quite nice. There's a lot of room. Nice little comfy bed. This next compartment tickles me. We've actually got a bathroom in here. So we've got a bath and a sink, and actually plenty of space. And the window is with frosted glass, as you would expect. But it's just, I find this quite intriguing that there is a bath on this train. This would have been the King's quarters, originally built for King George VI. And this has got a nice little office area and dressing area. The bed here as well, actually quite a small bed. But I must admit, it'd be quite nice to travel on this. We've got access privately into the bathroom area, and then we've got a dresser with clothes and such like there. And this is really quite a nice, it's austere, but it's comfortable. And I really like the little flip-down table on the bed as well. And you can imagine that being used by the king for just putting maybe his notes or a book he's reading on. And we've also got the telephone at the side of the bed. Plenty of headroom as well. This is really, really nice. The entire carriage is also soundproofed. And it's one of the things that you realise when you're in here, is just how quiet it is. A real peaceful tranquility. The final room in this carriage is this kind of lounge living area, and it's the full width of the carriage, and you can see there's a number of different quite comfortable chairs. It would have been perfect for just a bit of downtime for the monarch and later on for the Duke of Edinburgh. We've even got a wireless set built into this little cabinet, and it's really, you could imagine this closing the curtains and it being a lovely little area just to unwind and decompress after whatever royal function the train had been taking the monarch to. There's so much going on. We've got a red phone as well. I wonder what happens if we pick that up and make a phone call. I think that might be a bit naughty. So we've got a button for the Queen, a button for equerry, and then sergeant, footman, and the valet. And then we've got a little writing desk here in the corner, and a set of cards, maybe having a game of solitaire. And we've got a nice little vestibule at the end of the coach here, which would be the perfect place for King George VI, later the Duke of Edinburgh, to gather his thoughts as the train pulls into the station, then the doors open, and out onto the platform to meet the dignitaries. The next exhibit is Hinton Manor. This is a GWR Manor class locomotive. It was one of the mainstays of the early Severn Valley Railway fleet and ran extensively up until the point that it was taken out of service for overhaul. It's been cosmetically restored after a period outdoors and is now resplendent here in the engine shed at Highley, with the tender and the locomotive just separated and pulled apart a little bit, so we've got plenty of space to come up here and just admire a lot of this backhead detail. And this is something that we see more and more on model locomotives. And whenever you see the reviews that I do, and I talk about all of the gauges that you can see what are on them, all of the individual pipework and the regulator as well, this is the real thing. And you can see just how far we've come with the detail on model locomotives by comparing it to the real thing. I wonder if the whistle works. I think we're low on pressure. This is the Pannier 8F cab, number 48773, and if you're wondering, the star here shows that the wheels have been specially balanced so it can run faster and, for example, pull passenger trains, which not all members of the class were so treated. And we've also got here the diagonal yellow stripe, and this was applied to locomotives that were banned from running under the overhead line equipment as the electrification process took place between London and eventually it reached Manchester, but this just meant that this locomotive was prohibited from running underneath those then new overhead lines. And this is another detail. You may have wondered if you bought the Hornby 8F what these extra little bits that stick out the side are, and they look a bit of a nuisance on the model. And these are actually to stop the wind from whistling and going straight in through the side windows, and it just gives that little bit of extra protection. Otherwise it would have been like a swirl of coal dust in there, and it's just a really quite clever addition that just stopped that from happening. I do really like this. I'd love to have a play on one of these. It's one of those little hand carts, and you sometimes see these in the old westerns like Blazing Saddles. They have one as well, and a couple of guys can pump up and down and actually propel this at a fair rate of speed down the line. It's even got rudimentary brakes. I guess the two guys who are operating it would stand on there and it would apply the brakes to the wheels. But it looks to be a fun piece of equipment. It's a good workout as well. This is a 57XX Pannier tank. Now these were originally built for the Great Western Railway and actually had quite a long career both with the GWR and then later British Rail. When it came to them being withdrawn, a number actually went on to further use, a couple in industrial use, but London Transport actually bought quite a few, and one of the reasons that they chose the 57XX was because it's slightly lower than a number of the other classes of GWR Pannier tanks, and it meant that they were better able to fit within the London Underground loading gauge for the lines on which they were used for engineering trains. This next locomotive is a GWR 45XX Prairie tank, which is the 262 wheel arrangement. I really quite like these. They've got a real charm to them, and of course available ready to run. There's a good Bachmann model on the market. It's been on the market for quite some time, has been updated over the years, and actually if you're really interested in getting a model of the 45XX, Kernow Model Centre actually have a really great deal on with one of their special commissions, so it's a really great place to pick one up from. We've got this here in BR Black, and it's actually a really lovely smooth paint job. We've got the earlier British Railways crest here, the cycling lion, tends to get referred to as. And this is number 4566. You get a real sense of actually just how much presence these things have when you stood at ground level next to one of them. This is the 210 Gordon number 600 in Longmore Military Railway Blue. Quite an interesting locomotive, built during the Second World War, and actually some quite significant numbers. And these worked in a number of different countries actually, but it's often forgotten that Gordon here had a very long career on the Longmore Military Railway before she passed into preservation here at the Severn Valley Railway. And actually, indeed, during the Suez Crisis in 1957, she even ran a number of trains down to Southampton as well. The USA tank, they had General Frank Ross, that was done as a special commission for Model Rail magazine in this really quite fine livery. Also, Hornby have done a number of the austerity Hunslets in Longmore Military Railway livery. And Basra, the class, I think it's a class 11, was done as a special commission by Bachmann in this livery for Model Zone. Remember them back in the day, and I actually do have that as part of my Gronk collection. But this really is quite an impressive locomotive, and with the red connecting rods, with the black wheels, the red chassis underneath, and this kind of like a Prussian blue, it really is quite an eye-catching locomotive. Built in 1926 at the Vulcan Foundry in Newton-le-Willows, this is a Ginty LMS locomotive through and through, the workhorse of the LMS fleet for shunting, small trip working. This particular example is one of the oldest still to survive, here with, again, some really high gloss finish on the side of these. It's quite amazing to see them when they're here. They've been cleaned up in the museum. Just to realise, these aren't dirty beasts. They are actually some quite impressive pieces of machinery. Again, Bachmann do a really quite nice model of the Ginty. I've done them in quite a few different liveries, including this livery as well. And actually in my collection I've got examples of quite a few, including some very, very nice Prussian blue Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway livery. A number of these were built for the SDJR. They were nicknamed Bagnalls rather than Gintys, and they were then ultimately absorbed into LMS stock when the LMS took over the SDJR locomotive fleet. The final locomotive in the hall is 80079, one of the standard Class 4 tanks. It's a Riddles design, and again it's been offered ready to run actually by a couple of different manufacturers over the years. Way back, my very first train set was inherited from my father, included a Hornby 001 with 80054. But this particular example is one of the Brighton built machines. A number were also built elsewhere. Very, very successful design, really rugged, a jack of all trades, and it's really nice to see that a few of them have survived into preservation, including this example here. And there's just such a power when you see all of the connecting rods and the pistons. These are the pinnacle of steam locomotive design. Well, I've had a really great day here today, and a big thank you to the Severn Valley Railway, who've given us access to the engine shed. It's not normally open today, but it's given us an amazing opportunity to take a really good close look at the exhibits that they've got here. And the final one is this wagon for the colliery that used to be near here. It was open right through until 1966, so quite late lasting, just before the railway passed through into preservation. It's nice to see this wagon here lettered up for the Highley Mining Company, which actually the exchange sidings would have been pretty much where the engine shed sits today. So this wagon isn't all that far from home. And it shows that those pretty private owner wagons that we get from so many different manufacturers are actually quite huge. And we've actually got wooden frames underneath this. This is actually a largely wooden wagon with the metal embellishments, and these would have been the workhorses of Britain's railways for an awfully long time, carrying thousands upon thousands of tons of coal. And certainly it's great to see that that industrial heritage is preserved here at the engine shed on the Severn Valley Railway. But it's been a great day out, and I hope you've enjoyed this quick tour through some of the exhibits. I'm Jenny Kirk saying tickle that like button, share this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. And do check out the merch store. We've got that down below in the description box. Get yourself a really great hoodie, t-shirt, mug. We've got the works there, and you can also head on over to Patreon and help support the channel to keep making the videos that you want to see. And maybe we'll be coming to a preserved railway near you. But until next time, this is me, Jenny Kirk, saying you take great care of yourself. Happy modelling. Bye for now. Today's video comes in association with Trainomatic, makers of DCT decoders and accessories that are designed by enthusiasts for enthusiasts. Find the full range available to order now at tramfabrique.co.uk. Additional support comes from Rocar Prototype Models, where detail, accuracy and value for money go hand in hand. With their debut model of SafePack auto racks wowing model railroaders alike, now is your chance to order these in road names and configurations to accurately reproduce auto rack workings from 1974 to the present day on your model railroad. Order today from rocarmodels.com and see the full range for yourself. I'd like to send out a huge thanks to everybody who supports me on Patreon, and an extra special huge thanks goes out to Anthony Kidson, Offshore Allen, Michael Lockie, Helen Sink, Gary Lewis, David Quinn, Sparky107107, George Botterini, Chris Moss, Robert Steers, Sam Yates, Dale Williams, John N. from NC, NYMRish, Jonathan Foster, Peter, Clifford Ison, Larry W. Grant, NI Railways 4000 class, Ian Coulson, Alan Dickerson, Eddie Popper, Karen Nichol, Medwin Williams, Crossways Point Junction, 3B Rail, Jennifer Horton, Trains with Nick, and Simon Snow. Thank you. Without you guys, I couldn't do this.